Okay, Algebra 1, we're going to do a little bit of review over the problems on the review. I'll do a couple of examples and then let you do it. So the first problem's A through F. You're going to just factor. If you notice, there's no equal sign, so you can't solve. So let's take a look at C. Okay, C says 6x to the third y plus 9y squared. So when factoring, first I'm going to look for what is a number part that will go into both 6 and 9. Okay, so what's the largest number that goes into both 6 and 9? I'm going to put 3 on the outside. Then I'm going to look at my variables. Is there any variables that they have in common? Well, this one has an x to the third, but this one doesn't have any x's. So I'm going to pull out the largest amount of y's that they have in common, because they each have y's. Well, the largest amount that I can take is really the smallest value. So I can take out a 3y. I'm going to divide each of these terms by 3y because I'm factoring it out. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. I didn't take any x's out, so it's x to the third. I took out one y, so no more y's left. 9 divided by 3 is a positive. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And I took out one y. So there were 2 here, so I took out 1. So 2 minus this 1 is 1. These aren't like terms, so I can't do anything else, and that's my answer. You can pause the video at any time. All right, let's look at number factor each trinomial. So for the second part, for section 2, if you notice, they all have 1 in front of your x squared. So all you have to do is ask your question about factors of your last term that add up to your middle term or subtract to your middle term. For instance, number or letter F, which says x squared plus 2x minus 24. Okay, all of these problems have 1 in front of the x squared, so we don't have to worry about that. Remember, if it did have a number, you would have to do the slide divide bottoms up. So this one, we have to ask, what are factors of 24 that subtract to 2? Again, there's no equal sign, so we can't solve, so we're just factoring, creating a multiplication problem. Okay, so what are factors? What are factors of 24? Factors of 24 are 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6, and we want the set that subtract to 2. So that would be 4 and 6. So we want 2 sets of parentheses. Factors of my first term go here, the first. Factors of my last term, which we said were going to be 4 and 6. This sign, because it's subtraction, tells me my operations are different. This one says that the larger one is plus. So this is plus and this is minus. Because there's not an equal sign, that's as far as I can go. And that's my answer. Okay. So looking at the bottom part, A through I, if you notice, it says solve for each equation. Now, because they have equal signs, we have to go all the way down, and not only do we have to factor, we need to solve for them. Okay, so remember that it has to be, first, it has to be equal to 0. Then there has to be multiplication between the terms. And what that means for us is that you have to factor it. And then you're going to set each parenthesis equal to 0 and solve. Okay, so let's look at an example. Let's look at E. E says b squared plus b minus 132 equals 0. Now, there's not a number in front of this b. I mean, there is, but it's a secret agent man. It's really 1. So the question we're really asking, well, first of all, it's equal to 0, so we've got that part already there. Now we need a factor. So what are factors of 132 that subtract to 1? So they need to be close together. So what are my factors of 132? Well, I know 2 goes into it. 2 goes into 132, 6, which would be 12, 66 times. So 3 goes into it. 3 goes into this 44 times. 4 goes into it. 4 goes into it 33 times. So 11 has to go into it because 11 goes into all of those. So 11 goes into it 12 times. Oh, and there it is. So we've got 2 sets of parentheses equal to 0. Factors of b squared are b and b. Factors of 132 that subtract to 1 would be 11 and 12. This tells me my signs are different. This one tells me my larger one is plus. So now I have to set each parenthesis equal to 0. So b minus 11 equals 0, and b plus 12 equals 0. I'm running out of room. So that tells me that b has to equal 11 and negative 12. Those are my 2 answers, 11 and negative 12. Okay. The last part of the homework is we're skipping that next section and just going down to the bottom where it says factor and solve each equation. Now these are a little bit more difficult only because there is a term in front of that x squared. So let's look at C. I think I like C. So C says 40r squared minus 42r plus 9 equals 0. Now, I'm going to first check, can I take anything out of each of my terms? Nope, nothing goes into 40, 42, and 9. It is already equal to 0, so that's nice. But because this 40 is here, I need to slide it down so that I can factor it. So I'm going to take 40 times this 9, and I'm going to rewrite my problem. R squared minus 42r plus 360 equals 0. So the question I need to ask myself, what are factors of 360 that add up to 42? So we've got to think smaller than 42. Right? So what are factors of 360? Well, I know 10 and 360. Okay. Whoops, 10 and how about 10 and 36? How about? But that's too big because they add up to be 46. So I need to think a little bit smaller. Well, let's go with 9 because 9 goes into 36, so it should go into 360. 9 and 40. 4 and 90, too big. 6 and 60, that's too big because I want 42. Let's check. Does 8 go into 360? 8 goes into 36 4 times, which is 32. It does. So 8 goes into 36 4 times, which is 32, a remainder of 4. 8 goes into 45 times. So they don't have a difference yet of 42, or add up to 42. It's too big. So we need to think of a little bit bigger number than 8. How about 12? 12 goes into it 30 times. And they add up, oh, right there it is, 42. Add up to 42. Okay, so I have 2 sets of parentheses. Factors of my first term, r and r. Factors of 360 that add up to 42 would be 12 and 30. Now we have to remember, because we multiplied by 40 right here, I have to divide by 40. Well, this tells me signs are the same. This tells me they're both subtraction. So I'm going to divide both of these by 40. And now I'm going to reduce my fractions. So I get r minus what goes into both 12 and 40. 4 does. 3 over 10. And 10 goes into both of these, so 3 over 4, 0. Now I can set each of these parentheses equal to 0, and I get r equals 3/10. Now we could do bottoms up and then solve, but we end up getting the same fractions anyway. And so there we go. All right, that's all I've got for you today. Have a good day.